What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with that instant analysis. We're gonna do this on the Bulls defeating the Nets. Just like I said, not really a surprise that the Nets got beat. Really, what they really should have. The coach got fired. I don't think that would have made much of a difference. No Ben Simmons. I know everybody was like, "Oh, they won without Ben Simmons. Maybe he was a problem." I think Ben Simmons was more of a positive than what people give him credit for. But just my opinion, just my analysis on that. But the Nets came out better. They came out with more fight. They came out with more and more thump. But this really didn't matter. They got thumped on their head, and it was pretty much done in the fourth quarter. Zach LaVine did what KD and Kyrie should do, going for 20 points in the fourth quarter, closing it out. I love what I seen out of Zach LaVine. He's starting to play the point guard more. I had a breakdown on Zach LaVine years ago on how he should play the point guard. He did it in UCLA. Didn't do it long enough because he was one and done, and then he went to Minnesota where they needed him to be more of a two, than a point guard. Then Lonzo Ball goes down, and then it's like, do I want to start Caruso? We wanted him to be off the bench, but then Zach LaVine has the size of a point guard, kind of like a Steph Curry light, a guy that can really handle the ball, can shoot the mid range, can shoot the three, just way more athletic, and can really jump out the gym. I think that's an advantage, if anything. Just a shooting Westbrook that can actually make threes at a high clip is something that I've seen his upside as. And he already has been a 24, 25-point scorer in the NBA before. So it's not nothing that's crazy. I know that Westbrook averaged 31 points per game, but that was without having another superstar alongside him. And you can get more greedy because of that. Obviously, having a guy like DeMar DeRozan who had 20 tonight helps you not fall into that type of habit. And that's a good thing because Zach LaVine got tired of the losing ways, and now he's on his winning ways, making the playoffs in his first time last year. Being a top six seed is impressive too. Most people knew that they'd be in the conversation for a playoff team, but they was a lock for the playoffs very early. Didn't even have to do the play-in tournament. That's a huge improvement, and they have built that into this year. I love what I've seen out of Zach LaVine tonight. Only had 9 points in the first half, 20 in the fourth quarter, like I said before. That's impressive because that's winning time. The stars are become the stars. They become the closer. They are the biggest difference makers outside of role players that make the key plays on offense and defense. But Zach LaVine did it both, in my honest opinion, and he only played 37 minutes. And he did have 4 rebounds and 5 assists, 10 to 21 from the field in his high 40s, 5 of 11 from three in his 40% from three. That's very good. Usually a great 3-point shooter for the last couple seasons. 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Also only had 1 turnover, no block, no steals, but positional defense is important. Stopping guys from getting to the basket, making guys take tough shots, contested shots, and making them over dribble is still great defense. Even if you don't cause a turnover yourself, it helps them cause turnovers if somebody can intercept it, or if it causes them to have a shot clock violation, or even causes them to overthink it and force their teammates to take a bad shot because the shot clock goes down too low and they got to force up a tough one. DeSumo, I love Io DeSumo. He was an excellent pickup for them and really started to come into his own, just like Zach LaVine said in his interview last year, and he has been a huge positive piece for this Bulls team. He has 17 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. But I love how he gets into people defensively. He goes for steals, he goes for blocks. He's very athletic, has high energy, high motor, really plays like he wants to be in the NBA. If he had to fight to stay in the NBA, the Bulls was a team that gave him a chance. Now he's a starter. Now he's one of the biggest pieces on this entire roster, and it's because of his diversity. This guy can get buckets now. He wasn't known as a scorer. He was just known as a guy that just got up in you and played hard. And he's translating into an all-around building block of a game that's like Play-Doh. You build the clay and the Play-Doh into what you want it to be, and then you realize you can make it a little bit better, make it look a little bit better. Then you start adding a little finishing touches. And that's what the Sumo was. He was a rough, rugged, hard hit, fight, knocking you out type of guy, and it translated into him being a well-rounded player at this point of his career. And the fact that he's so young under the contract that he's on, it's just a beautiful thing that they was able to find the sumo, and it kind of put them in a weird situation where do we really want to start Caruso because we have Dosunmu and Patrick Williams who also developed too, which I'll get into later. But he also had Dosunmu had 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 for 11 from the field. That's above 50%. That's like 54%, almost 57%. 1 for 4 from the 3 point line, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 of 4 from the 3 point line, 3 steals, which is ridiculous, and 2 turnovers. Not a decision maker, not a playmaker at this point in his career, but you don't want to put too much on the guy's shoulder. You have Zach LaVine for that. You have Patrick Williams for that. You have DeMar DeRozan, who froze his defenders all night with the step back and the handle. Just absolutely tough shot making for DeMar, who was 8 of 21, took a lot of tough shots, made 1 3, which it was a good defense by the Nets. They played good defense in the first half. They slowly trickled down on that as the game went on, and the Chicago Bulls took advantage of that. Also, when you look at the fact that DeMar DeRozan took a lot of tough mid ranges, he made a lot of them, but the three was wide open. He had to rush it a little bit, but he was in rhythm, had space, had a good look, and he knocked it down. He's capable of doing those things, and he has done it throughout his career, even though he's not a high volume 3 point shooter. As I hint at, he only shot 2 his entire game, but did have 20 points, 2 steals, and 1 block. Has been a solid defender when he doesn't have the burden of carrying an offensive load, and he didn't have that tonight because of Zach LaVine and Dosunmu. Nikola Vucevic didn't have the greatest game. You would have thought that he would dominate inside. The swarming defense of the Nets really helped force him to make passes quicker than he normally would. He likes to get a couple steps and get you a hook or go into your body. Wasn't able to get that in all the way, and that forced him to pass because he was uncomfortable. That's part of the defense job, to make you uncomfortable, make you do things you don't normally want to do, and that's what they did to Vucevic in the post, and that's why he only had 7 points, but he still did dominate on the rebounds, 15 total. He also had 2 assists, 3 of 8 from the field, 0 of 1 from the 3 point line, but he did make 50% from the free throw line, but he only shot 2 and 1 steal. Still a great rebounding game from Vucevic. They usually get killed on the glass, and Vucevic was a big reason for that. He had to find a way to help the team somehow if he wasn't going to do it offensively, and that's a good way of being an all-star like he has been in the past. Caruso, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 of 4 from the field, 1 of 2 from three, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Just good energy. Came in, played hard, does what Caruso does. Didn't have the offensive game, but just wasn't needed tonight. It was just a slow grind game to get back in the game and take control of the game, and that's Caruso, Dosunmu, and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan type of game, along with Vucevic. And Dragic was a big piece off that bench. Caruso didn't have to step up as much offensively because they had Goran Dragic to do it off the bench. 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Also was 4 of 8 from the field. 4 of 6 from the 3 point line, absolutely blazing and scorching. 3 of 4 from the free throw line, and 1 block, which came out of nowhere. Sometimes NBA players can catch you like that if you don't pay attention. And Jones had 4 and 4 for the Bulls, and then also Green had 15 minutes, but only had 2 rebounds, didn't have no field goals, and didn't really do anything else. The net side, nothing really to talk about in the second half. The first half, Kevin Durant really set the world on fire, set the stage on fire. He really wanted to send a message after the firing of Steve Nash that the decision might be right. We're going to see a lot different type of nets, and it just didn't happen for the entire game. And that's been their biggest problem. They have spurts when they look like a great team. They have spurts when they look like their offense is clicking, especially when Ben Simmons is in there. Then they have spurts where they just seem like they don't have motivation, they don't have care, they don't have the love and the desire to want to be great. They just don't have that fire like Steve Kerr under their belly. It seems like they're cool and comfortable hanging in games just because they feel like they're going to win them just because they have Kyrie and Kevin Durant. And if they just don't make shots or they got to play catch up, they just don't have the defensive tenacity and the defensive energy that's contagious enough to get them hype enough to make a lot of stops to turn the tide of a game. I know they can make shots, but you got to get everybody going on the same page on both ends of the court. And they always do, this time we want to do this, now we need to do this, now we should start doing this. Well, you should do that the entire game. That's what championship teams do. They bring that energy, they bring that effort for a long period of time, not once every quarter, once throughout the quarter, and once every half. And the Nets just haven't been able to get it all together. It seems like they have the pieces in their head, what they need to do. They just don't do it for 48 minutes. And the bench doesn't do it when they see it. And Kevin Durant and them, they'll come hit you, and then they hit you. Then you realize you can get back up and get back in the fight, and you can win it. and that shouldn't happen when you want to be one of the best teams in the league, and that's why they ended up losing. And they didn't even score 100 points this game. They got stopped at 99 when the game was already really over. DeMar DeRozan just dropped the clock to make sure they wasn't going to get there. Durant, another 32-point game, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, more well-rounded game. But like I said, no Ben Simmons, who usually would eat up some of those numbers. 2 blocks, 1 steal. He did have 6 turnovers. Like I said, DeSumo and those guys really made it tough. Caruso, DeRozan, and Zach LaVine, good team defense. They did the opposite of what the Nets should have did in the second half to make sure they secured the victory. Nicholas Claxton, double-double, 10 and 10. 2 assists, 4 or 4 from the field, all dunks and layups as usual. 2 or 4 from the free throw line, 50%. 3 turnovers, not a good decision maker or ball handler or a guy that can really make multiple moves when you have the ball in a cut or even in the paint at all. Then you have Royce O'Neale, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. This is a solid game. I feel like he's the perfect role player for what Kyrie and Kevin Durant wants to do. They're 8 of 12 from the field, 4 or 6 from three, 1 steal. He's just solid, can hit the three, can handle the ball a little bit. This is a solid key role player that really fits to what they're trying to do offensively and defensively. Kyrie, just a no-show, 4 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 of 12 from the field, 0 of 6 from the three-point line. Really struggling from three this season. But it happens. He's not motivated. He didn't want to be in Brooklyn. Then he got to deal with the headache of the media. Then he got to deal with the headache of the Nets losing. Then Steve Nash gets fired. It just all just overloading and just becoming a big irritant. You want to have wins to make it better, to make you feel better, to make you feel good. But when you're losing and everything is rotten and just self imploding in front of you, then you got to go face the media after you just lost and Steve Kerr get fired and you had a bad game and you lost another game in a row and you got another tough one again. It's just a little bit too much, like Destiny say, for the Nets right now, and it's gonna be hard to dig themselves out of this hole when everything's turning against them. They need a lot of good high spirits. They need time away from each other, it seems like, but unfortunately, this isn't training camp. This isn't preseason. This isn't an elimination of the playoffs, which they got swept. It looks a lot like that Boston series all over again right now, and just getting even worse. Joe Harris, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. I don't know what you expect out of him at this point of his career. He's older, he's beat up, he's toe up, he's a little useless outside of just being a guy that can run around and hit a three. Kind of remind me of a worse Richard Jefferson at this point of his career. But they start him just because of his ability to make shots. But they have other guys on this team that can do that too. And I really feel like I'd rather have a Ben Simmons out there than a Joe Harris just because you already got Royce O'Neale to do more than what Joe Harris can do at this point in his career. Watanabe, a solid game off the bench, 10 points, 4 rebounds in 28 minutes, 4 or 6 from the field, 2 or 3, 2 blocks, probably the biggest bright spot outside of KD in the first half. Sumner, 4 points, 1 rebound, 5 assists, 2 or 6 from the field, 0 or 1 from the 3-point line, 1 block. Duke, 2, 1 or 4, 0 or 1, 2 steals, and Patty Mills 9 points. He did well. He was 3 or 6 from the field. 2 of them was from the 3-point line. 2 or 4. They did pick up Joshua Primo. Don't think he's gonna be a big difference maker. Really has low IQ, low shot making in NBA games. He's better against lesser competition, not against elite competition like NBA starters. I don't see him being a big difference. They already got Cameron Thomas. He already doesn't play. I think Cameron Thomas is better than Primo at this point in his career, and he barely can play legitimate NBA minutes. And then you look at the bench; they already have Sharp, they already have Morris, they already have guys like Seth Curry, who's going to come back in as a starter probably, or come off the bench as a 6 man. He's going to eat up the rest of those minutes. If Cameron Thomas isn't going to see no minutes, Seth Curry going to get the rest of them anyway because he's better than Cameron Thomas and he's better than Joshua Primo. I think this is going to be the last couple circulations of the Primo thing, as it's just a guard heavy league. Plus, you got to look at the fact that the NBA draft is around the corner. People are already looking at Scoot Henderson and those boys down there in G League Ignite, and in the overseas you got the Euro Cup. Now people come over to play in the G League and they televising games. I think Primo career is dwindling to its end. Probably might get 3, 4 more signings, and then the draft comes around G League comes around, and then you got the overseas players too that we looking at. And then you look at the fact that you're gonna have the G League players that's gonna do the summer league, and he's gonna be fighting for a spot to eat. Unfortunately, that's the game. It's not fun. It's not happiness. But when you take advantage of the situation like he did, getting high draft, everybody was surprised he took him so high, and then for him to fall this flat, he really needs the urgency and the fight for his spot in the NBA starting now. You just need to have a different mentality if you want to continue to eat and stay in this league at this point in his career. This word of advice, words of wisdom as a former hooper. Got love for you, Primo. Got love for what you did in San Antonio. Got love for you getting drafted that high. I know your contract is going to be guaranteed those years, but at this point, it's not about the money. It's about, do you want to be an NBA player for more years? Well, you got to change your approach, change your mindset, change your mentality, change your work ethic, and maybe he can stay in the league a little bit longer. But I don't think he's going to stay with the Nets that long. Like I said, they still have Cameron Thomas, who's trying to eat at that spot off the bench, and they still have Seth Curry, who hasn't played one game due to injuries, that hasn't played either, and he's going to take that spot. Other than that, Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, signing out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the day. And the only reason why I said the Primo thing, somebody asked me in the comment section. I seen them get picked up by the Nets, and I seen somebody ask me that question, so I just took it in the video so everybody else can watch it too. Other than that, see y'all guys tomorrow. Still got the NBA season predictions. Got caught up in the Steve Nash thing, so hopefully I can get to that tomorrow. Signing out.